Battle control initialized.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Red Alert Global League Season 9 Minions Round 3. On the left side of the map, we have Duke Bones playing as Ukraine, and on the right side of the map, we have Kernel Panic playing as the British. Let's go to the production tab. Kernel Panic with about a 1 second lead over Duke Bones. And Duke Bones sitting on that deployment of his barracks for just a second. That's really going to add up on such a small map. Total of 2 oil derricks and 2 hospitals on this map, one in either corner. I think I've said that enough at this point. We've seen quite a bit of this map on the Minion series. And it looks like we're looking at our first engagement here. Kernel Panic going heavier into troop production than Duke Bones. Kernel Panic with an advantage on the field, and Duke Bones is going to be the first to capture unless Kernel Panic comes in and snipes the engineer. And the engineer gets sniped before the capture. That is a big setback. Kernel Panic a full 3 seconds ahead in production of his refinery, second refinery. Both players going double ref rather. Duke Bones is trying to track down that engineer killer there, and Kernel Panic makes the first capture of the game. Kernel Panic also still has a rifleman challenging Duke Bones' engineer. This is not good. I don't like the position that Duke Bones' riflemen are in. Duke Bones trying to find the snipe on Kernel's engineer, not finding it though. And that's the second engineer of... oh, wow. That was a close one. Kernel Panic's engineer making a long round trip around the upper part of the map there, and Duke Bones' engineer making a break for the back lines. Duke Bones having to produce 2 engineers, and that's going to set him back quite a bit. Duke Bones closing the gap in production of his war factory. Kernel Panic just sitting on it for just a second. And Kernel Panic's got a Ranger queued up. Duke Bones is going to go ahead and eco up. He's low on cash, so that's probably a good idea. I don't agree with Duke Bones' placement of his war factories. I think he should have put one over here, but what are you going to do? There's that Ranger from Kernel Panic cleaning up the field and providing excellent line of sight. Duke Bones, the first one to come out with a service depot, and moves in to strike against the oil derrick of Kernel Panic. His infantry getting needlessly wiped out though. Colonel's going to try to find a position on them, and Duke Bones just lost a lot of rocket soldiers there. That's not good, and he didn't destroy the oil derrick either. Kernel Panic is going to take that oil derrick off of Duke Bones, and that Ranger is going to hold back the rest of Duke's infantry. Duke Bones up to 4 harvesters and out with heavy tank. Kernel Panic still on light tank. And Kernel Panic has got both of those hospitals covered. That's a rough blow for Duke Bones, being the Soviet player, unable to repair his troops in the field, unable to build medics. Kernel Panic with 4 refineries back at his base and 50 actions per minute to Duke's 14. Kernel Panic up to 5 harvesters with control of both derricks on the field, and Duke Bones is going to try to take one of those back. Duke Bones, I believe, is out first with the expansion. Yep. And Colonel Panic, 10 seconds until his service depot drops. Those light tanks are really harassing the crap out of the... Oh, wow, that's a rough one. So light tanks destroy the expansion MCV of Duke Bones. Duke Bones manages to capture a oil derrick. And Colonel Panic is just going to keep avoiding the forces of Duke Bones with those light tanks, doing some damage to one of the harvesters. I think Duke Bones should eco-slide despite the danger. He's got a bit of a traffic jam going on, having so many harvesters. There's the eco-slide. Duke meeting a lot of rocket soldiers in that mass. And the light tanks finding 5 crushes. Losing that heavy tank. Deploying a flame tower in the back lines. That's not going to protect his harvesters at all. Colonel Panic just coming out with a conga line. Not bothering to expand just yet. Duke Bones building another expansion MCV. 6 minutes and 26 seconds before he's got his foothold. Oh no, and he's moving out blind straight into this blob here. I think Kernel really had him figured out. Is Duke paying attention? He's not. That's unfortunate. So that's going to be the second MCV of the game down for Duke Bones. And Duke is moving in on this expansion here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to take it. There's a couple of defensive structures and a medium tank. Colonel Panic is going to move out his MCV just in case. Duke Bones with a Tesla coil in his pocket and producing his third MCV of the game. He's nothing if not persistent. Tank in the back leading with the infantry and not trading very well. The light tank finds good crushes. And that's the end of this force. Duke Bones still trying to find a foothold on this map. He's got a... Well, he's got a lot of income, but he's almost out of ore at his base. That's not good. Mine layer out for Colonel Panic. And Kernel holds his expansion. Each player on 1 oil derrick, 6 harvesters for Kernel and Kernel, excuse me, and 5 harvesters for Duke Bones. 9,600 army value on the field. Colonel Panic has triple the value of Duke Bones at 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Kernel moving out his main MCV. And you hear those ratchets going to work. Although I don't know what they're repairing. That's interesting. Oh, okay, the heavy tank. Oh, he captured a heavy tank husk from Duke Bones. Kernel as the allies, Britain. And that mine layer is going to ruin that expansion for Duke Bones. Sizable force for Duke Bones. If he can make something happen with this and attack into this area of the base, he can definitely take out that war factory. But I think he just might be a little scared to move in, to be honest, the way that things have been going for him. Destroys the mine layer, that's good. Colonel Panic, 20 seconds until he comes out with an eco expansion. He's got control of... Well, he will have control of both of the hospitals very soon. Duke Bones manages to kill that oil derrick, now in control of the only oil derrick of the game, and attacking with infantry right into a pillbox. Knocking out the front door instead of finding a flank. I hate to criticize, but I'm going to point out mistakes when I see them. 56 actions per minute for Kernel Panic and 20 for Duke Bones. 7 harvesters for each player, and Duke Bones in control of the only oil derrick of the game. And a slight income advantage for Duke Bones. Duke Bones manages to come out with a expansion. Very good, very good. And he's got a sizable force brewing. If he can hold off Duke Bones for a little while, but I've got a bad feeling about this force up here. I think Kernel is just... Did I say that right? Yeah. If Duke Bones can hold off Kernel Panic for a little while and eco up, I think he's still in this, but I've got a bad feeling about this force up here. His Duke Bones' service depot is very exposed, and the Soviets are always heavily reliant on heavy tanks. The second expansion out for Duke Bones. He's behind in income though. Yeah. Kernel Panic is not eco slid up there. Oh, he's got this expansion down here. I totally blanked on that. Okay, so yeah, general rule of thumb, you want 1 harvester per ore patch. So Kernel Panic could actually build another harvester and deploy it right here. Or mine, rather. Kernel Panic coming out with another MCV. He's still got his expansion MCV. His original MCV moved north, and his expansion MCV moved back to his base after deploying down there. Kernel Panic able to repair in the field as allies, but those mechanics take a while. They're actually more useful in capturing husks. Nice eco slide from Kernel Panic, and reinforcing the northern position. Attacking into the Tesla coil. Duke Bones should really hold his position here and use a line of sight from the buildings. Duke Bones trading well. Loses a harvester in the process, though. And this is what I mean. If Duke Bones can just hold on and eco up. Duke Bones coming out with aircraft and a V2 rocket launcher. That's going to be useful against this infantry blob. But Kernel is moving into what would have been Duke Bones' natural expansion right here. Duke Bones out with the aircraft. Not scouting with it. Unfortunate. Okay, here comes that infantry mass I was worried about. Right into the ore field. It's 1 harvester down. And a Tesla coil. Not the best against infantry, but it's what he had queued up, so that's okay. Here's that V2. Fantastic hit from the V2. Pulls his whole army, which is totally unnecessary. And now Duke Bones is doing some revenge work, but focusing down that focusing down that refinery. Not totally necessary, losing quite a few troops there. Duke Bones doing some really good scouting with the Yak, out with another Yak. And honestly, he should join that Yak up with this army, because it would give him better line of sight. That's a lot of rocket troopers right there. Missing the mark, but revealing the army of Kernel Panic. And loses the Yak. Losing his service depot. Line of sight advantage with the tanks. He's going to trade well here. But Duke Bones and low power. Duke Bones able to wipe out that force from Kernel Panic. He's still in this game. Down to 6 harvesters, though. Still in control of the only oil derrick of the game. Loses his V2. Unfortunate. This is what I mean by scouting. He's got just this one. Not joining it up with his army. That's okay. Well, no, it's not okay. But I hate to be critical, but like I said. Colonel Panic making good use of this expansion. He's got his helipad up there. And... okay, Duke Bones trading well, but 4 medium tanks, they're going to find crushes, and that's all over. Even though the medium tanks are slightly weaker than the heavies, they're cheaper and they're faster, which lends itself to, well, finding crushes, actually, because you can get in and out faster. And moving the tanks against the flame towers, that's very good. Tanks nearly impervious to the flame towers, and focusing down those ore miners. Duke Bones is down to 4 harvesters. Colonel Panic destroying Duke Bones' oil derrick. There are no more oil derricks on the map. I think Duke is going to retain this expansion, but he might lose some more ore trucks. Those medium tanks are a lot faster than the infantry. This is why they're so good for raiding. There's 1 harvester down. And he's not going to stick around to find 2. Heavily damages it, though, and he's going to come around the back. Yeah. Colonel Panic with just about double the army value of Duke Bones. Playing it pretty conservative in this game, and maintaining his advantage. Colonel Panic targeting the power, but... oh, there it is. Low power. And Duke Bones not pursuing. Loses another harvester. Duke Bones on tech level 3 is going to come out with a mammoth tank. We'll see if that helps him. He's low on cash, though, and he doesn't have the income to support tier 3 tech, to be perfectly honest. He's got to expand. He's got to rebuild his eco. And Kernel is just doing everything he can to keep Duke on low power and delay production as much as possible. Oh, Duke Bones cancels the mammoth tank production. Power bombs. Missing the mark on the troop mass and failing to destroy anything of significance. Or anything at all, really. Duke Bones with a good position, leading with the tanks. Oh, 1 tank out of position. Moves it back in. That was very good. Choosing his engagements well, but those helicopters take out his radar dome. Duke Bones with an empty build queue, and Colonel Panic moving on to tier 3 tech. Duke Bones is just about broke. 2,800 income. He should eco slide down here. Duke Bones trying to find a flank and attack into the ore fields. Colonel Panic with control of about 60 to 70% of the map at this point. And there's a lot of rocket troopers in that mix. These tanks are just gonna melt away. As long as Kernel keeps the flame towers off of them, and he does. And clears the way for... okay, Duke Bones calling good game at 19 minutes and 48 seconds. 1,116 to 879. Let's go on to the economy graph. Kernel Panic prevents Duke Bones from capturing that oil derrick. And Duke Bones has to spend... He spends 1,000 on 2 engineers. Both of them get killed. And then he produces, I think, 3 MCVs, all of which get killed. And that was just terrible. Yeah, so Kernel just keeps ecoing up. And actually, I mean, Kernel could have gone heavier into the eco. He kind of relaxes for a bit and, you know, just cruises for a while, chooses his engagements well. And, you know, repairing tanks in the field, also capturing a few heavy tank husks with these mechanics. So, yeah, and with a brigade of Blackhawks, you know, that was good. So let's go on to the army graph. Yeah, Kernel Panic gets in the lead and just stays in the lead. And, you know, Duke Bones had a few good engagements. But Kernel found a couple of flanks down and around with some troops. And then those tanks, I think there were 6 medium tanks coming in here, destroying all the harvesters in this area. All of them in this area. Or harassing them, and then coming up here and destroying a few more harvesters. And that was really it. Let's go back to... That's this. And this was the end for Duke Bones. So let's go on to game number 2. Game number 1 going to Kernel Panic. On to game 2.
Battle control terminated. Battle control initialized.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Red Alert Global League Season 9 Minions Round 3. In the upper left-hand corner, we have Duke Bones playing as Ukraine, and in the lower right-hand corner, we have Kernel Panic playing as Russia. Let's go to the production tab. Kernel Panic with a, what was that, 2.5 second lead on production and good deployment of his barracks. He's going for doggos, and we'll see if these are good dogs or bad dogs. I like to see dogs used for scouting, so do a lot of other players. They're not as effective as they were in the original Red Alert. A total of 3 oil derricks and nothing else on oregano. The center derrick gives itself away when you go for it, because in the early game you have to have riflemen or rocket troopers firing on it, so your enemy is going to know where you are. Duke Bones committing to the eastern derrick, which really is not, well, it's kind of hard to say which is the natural derrick. They're all pretty contestable. And Duke Bones finds a good static position, but the line of sight from the dog is going to, well, yeah, good. Duke Bones moves in once he realizes that he has a line of sight disadvantage. And Duke Bones going for 2 engineers. Both players going double ref. And Duke Bones trying to make something happen in the lower left-hand corner. If he moves in right now, he can find the snipe on that NG, but I think he's going to hold it right there. Duke Bones with the first capture of the game. It's going to help him out economically. And 21 actions per minute from Kernel Panic and 13.4 from Duke Bones. Duke Bones moves in a little late to find the snipe on that engineer. But his own engineer might be able to do something here. Line of sight disadvantage, pushing into a static troop mass and not trading well. But taking the position despite that. Rocket soldiers out in the open, very weak against riflemen, and this is $900 worth of rocket soldiers that could possibly be taken out here. Kernel trying to find the snipe on that engineer. He might find it, but Line of sight disadvantage, pushing into a static formation, and the engineer survives on a sliver. Duke Bones with an empty... Oh, base push. I was wondering what's going on. Colonel Panic coming out with an APC. We'll see what he follows this up with. He's got a flame tower in the works. I love to see a flamer drop. But more likely to see a grenadier drop. This is going to be a taxi cab engineer. And it's going to wipe out these two troops, and Colonel Panic is going to have his oil derrick. And Colonel Panic doesn't spot the expansion. Yes, he does. He just saw it. Too bad. Rather, the base push. Excuse me. Duke Bones with a big income advantage, ecoing up very quickly and pushing troops into this flame tower. Not such a good idea. The second flame tower up, it's going to hold. And Duke Bones overcommits and loses quite a few soldiers there. More on the way. Duke Bones trying to cap. Denied. And Colonel Panic now taking the lead in income. It's a very interesting base push from Duke Bones. And Colonel Panic is going to have a Tesla coil in a few seconds. This is going to help him out a lot. 10 seconds till the Tesla coil drops. Another APC coming out for Colonel Panic. And Flame Troopers. I would love to see a Flamer drop. Please, Santa, please. Can we see a Flamer drop this game? Tesla coil being taken out. Combination of Tesla coil and Flame Troopers is actually very effective. Duke Bones comes out with his own flame tower. Doing quite well with this expansion. And there's that engineer in there. That would be good to bring it in. Colonel Panic with the taxi cab engineer. Six minutes in. Neither player with a service depot. There's the flamer drop. And kills Duke Bones' only MCV without a service depot. And actually, he doesn't even have a war factory. So this is going to be a good game any minute now. 40 actions per minute from Kernel and 20 from Duke Bones. Duke Bones, good game at 6 minutes and 36 seconds. 250 to 155. Let's go to the eco graph. Duke Bones with the lead. Capturing both those oil derricks and hanging on to them for a little while. Colonel Panic continues to eco up. I think the only thing he really produced were APCs and harvesters out of that war factory. Nothing else. Let's go to the army tab. Duke Bones with a big troop presence and charges headlong into a dual flame tower. Yeah. But Colonel Panic, like he said, if he was War Factory first, that might have worked, but he went double ref. Both players went double ref. And then Duke Bones base pushed before he had a service depot out. So, a very risky maneuver to, you know, put all your eggs in one basket, or rather to have only one egg and put it in a basket. So there you have it. 6 minutes and 39 seconds, both games going to Colonel Panic. Let's go to that army. We're on the army tab. Okay, great. So Red Alert Global League Season 9 Minions Round 3.
Battle control terminated.